Blackheart's Destiny. Chapter 1. Black panted heavily, careful not to trip on his paws as they dashed forward one after another. His breath was hot as he raced across the blades of grass, his pursuer hot on his heels. "I can't get away!" Black gasped as he approached the cow pen. The animals inside turned their head towards him. One, in particular, opened its jaws to call out, "Shut up, stupid cow!" Black's pelt prickled. Hot breath blew on his tail. He turned back, his chaser right on top of him. "Fox down!" The grey and black tomcat turned back to his run, skidding to a halt by the fence, and quickly jumping out of the way of the other cat, who crashed into the pole. "Had enough?" He chuckled in amusement, then continued to run. It was a nice day. The sun's rays were warm on the farm cat's pelt, and there wasn't a single cloud in the sky. The perfect day for a hunt. But halfway in between, Black's younger sister Raven decided to chase him, like he wasn't already exhausted from chasing chickens all day. "Black, you're gonna regret that!" The agitated she-cat mew sounded behind him. He looked back, his sister giving chase again. He hoped the skinny black loner would stop soon. His pads were falling off. Black panted heavily, looking around for somewhere to hide. He turned towards a pile of straw. Maybe? No, Raven was close by. She would see him. The barn! The mud and the smell of pigs would musk his scent, but knowing Raven, she would frighten the pigs with her energy and they would stomp all over him. What about the two-leg? In the nest, maybe? Yeah, that wasn't happening. He had already had enough trouble with the two-legs' kits. He didn't need to bother them. "I'm out of options." Black panicked. Without thinking, he skidded to a halt and turned to face his sister. Raven gasped in surprise and came to a halt in front of him. "Why did you stop?" Black chuckled, settling down and resting his tail across his paws. "No fun if your target doesn't run, right?" Raven scoffed in annoyance. "What? No way! That's not fair!" Black felt a twinge of guilt for the skinny black she-cat. He had given her an opportunity to tackle him, but she wanted to catch him on the run rather than standing still. "Come on, Black!" The black she-cat hissed in annoyance. "Can we keep going? I almost had you!" "We're supposed to be hunting, remember? Mother wouldn't want us returning home with empty jaws." "But..." Black stood up, ignoring his sister's plea. He was done running. His paws felt like he was standing on the stiff hay that housed the farm's horses. How they handled it was beyond him. He led the way back to where they had buried their prey, passing the stables where Coconut stayed. The spotted horse neighed at them. As the two cats passed by, Black flicked his tail, leaping over the fence that blocked the farm from the thundering path on the other side, and started to dig up the dirt mound close by the pole. A crow and a large rabbit lay inside. "Shotgun carrying the rabbit!" Raven squeaked, dashing forward to grip the rabbit in her jaws. Black rolled his eyes and grabbed a hold of the crow. As they made their way back, a ferocious monster roared past. Raven staggered, losing her balance from the rabbit's heavy weight. Black quickly trotted up to keep his sister from flying into the busy territory. Monsters had no regard for the animals that were smaller than them. They didn't even eat the prey they caught. They just kill them, then leave them there to rot. "At least we have the decency to eat the food we catch," Black thought. The two cats carried on until they reached a large open space, leading back into the farm. A monster turned in at slow speeds. Black lifted his head, watching it stop close by the two-leg nest, and the farmer and the two-leg kits jumped out. The two-leg kittens squeaked, pointing at the cats. "That's our cue!" Black looked at Raven with a nod. Then the two cats dashed for a smaller two-leg nest on the other side of the farm. Black squeezed in. The odd ice leaves dangled from above, shining spots of sunlight around them. Strange two-leg objects were laid inside, covered in webs and dust. Raven pushed past her brother, dipping her head into a hole near the back. She slipped in. Her rabbit almost stuck from the size. Black followed close behind. The hole led into an open den, the inside of the barn. Large soft golden hay covered the floor. The scent of mouse filled his nose. He'd stare up. A fluffy old black she-cat lay on the large hay nests. Her sides rose and fell in sleep. Their mother, Incense. "Mother, we're back!" Raven meowed, placing down the rabbit. "And we got prey!" Incense stirred from her sleep. She took one look at the cats before stretching out her legs and giving out a long yawn, before turning to them. "Good job, my dears. You're turning into gifted hunters." "We would have caught more if Raven hadn't insisted we play chase," Black argued, turning to his younger litter-mate with a cold stare. Raven hissed. "You didn't have to tell her that," she wailed. Incense chuckled, jumping down from her napping spot. She hobbled up to meet them. Now, little ones, you did well today. Let's just eat and then afterward we can talk. Black nodded, then nudged the crow towards his mother. The black and grey muzzled she-cat took it graciously. Raven dragged the rabbit, setting it in front of her brother, and the two cats shared. As they ate, Raven couldn't help but look to her mother. Mother, tell us another story about those wildcats. Black felt a surge of uneasiness. Not this again. The black striped loner growled, ripping off a bit of rabbit's flesh in irritation. The wildcats lived in the forest and moors close by. One of their territories was the moor just opposite the farm. Well, let's see, Incense spoke, pushing away the feathers she had plucked from her crow. It is said that the clans have leaders, she began. Cats bestowed with the ability of 9 lives to protect their clan. They use these lives as a way to keep the cat healthy. Even in death, if they have lives remaining, they will always return. Sounds dumb, hissed Black. Sounds amazing! Raven jumped in excitement. What happens when a leader dies? Incense scrunched her face, her ears twitched in her thoughts. I think they get new leaders in the form of their deputies. She bit into her crow. These cats are hand-picked by the leader to take their place when all their 9 lives are taken. Black twitched his ears. His paws tingled. These cats were savage and lived like monsters. And they earned 9 lives? How was that fair? Well, that's enough stories. We have a busy day later. Are we going somewhere? Asked Raven. Black looked up confused. Were they leaving the farm? No, he was kidded here. He was raised here. He would never want to leave. Incense didn't say anything more and continued to eat her crow. Black stared at her. What was she planning? He turned to the rabbit at his paws, who suddenly felt sick. He looked to his sister. You can have the rest. I'm gonna have a nap. The skinny black loner blinked. Oh, okay. Good night, Black. Black rose to his paws and headed for a pile of hay sheltered in the corner of the barn. Its soft stalks were cozy on his sore pads. He curled up, resting his tail over his face. The sounds around him slowly faded away, and his vision growing dark as he fell into sleep. Gotcha! Black pinned down the chicken's tail feathers with his claws. It gave out terrified squawks as the loner pinned it down. It fell limp as he bit hard down on its neck. Nice catch, Black! Raven watched from afar, sheltering their afternoon prey. The once warm day had faded into grey, bleak drizzle. Black shook his pelt, then dragged the chicken towards Raven's paws. He stared at the horde. Chicken, mice, crow, yep, we caught a lot today. Should we take it to Mother now? Asked Raven. Black shook his head. We should keep going. Maybe find some water to drink. Raven jumped. There's a stream nearby the thunderpath on the moor side. We could get this to the barn and grab some moss and go. Black stared at her. The moor? Raven, don't be daft. That's wildcat territory, remember? His skinny loner bumped him. Oh, don't be a mouse, Black. It's not that deep into their territory, and besides, they only care about their precious rabbits. We're getting water, not food. We have enough of that. The striped loner grumbled as Raven picked up the 2 mice and crow. She was such a pain. But with a hefty sigh, he gripped his jaws on the chicken's leg and followed. He shivered in the drizzle, his paws shaking in the cold. The 2 cats pushed their way into the small 2-legged den, then through the gap in the back. Incense waited inside. She turned to them. Wow, look at that. That's way more than what you caught this morning. Black waved his tail, struggling to pull the chicken in. Raven dashed up to help, pulling hard on the other leg. Incense sniffed the prey. Amazing. How did you catch a chicken? It was distracted with the chicken prey. Chickens are so dumb. Incense purred in amusement. Yes, they are. Raven suddenly pushed Black. The Tom nearly tripped over his paws. Sorry, Mother, we'll be back. Incense blinked in surprise. Where are you going? We have enough food. Black felt uneasy, and Raven continued pushing him towards the exit. We're gonna get something to drink. We won't be long. Black squeezed through the gap back into the small 2-leg nest. His sister followed. Don't be too long, their mother called. Raven purred. We won't. Black shook his pelt, his sister nodding to him. The 2 cats then hurried back outside. A clump of moss grew close by in a bush. The 2 loners ducked forward, ripping up a mouthful, then headed towards the thunder path. Black already felt sick, recognizing the bright eyes of a few monsters that raced on it. The rain made the usual stiff, dry dirt of the farm wet and boggy. Black stared up at the clouds. It wasn't going to stop by the looks of their dark colors. Raven pulled ahead, stopping close by the side of the monster's territory. Come on, Black! The she-cat's mew was filled with excitement. Black sighed, then followed close by his littermate. He raised his tail for her to wait. He felt the thunderpath rumble, and a monster quickly raced past. He nodded to her, and the two cats dashed across to the other side. Black screeched as another monster roared past, almost taking his tail. He growled, then turned to the moor. The hill stretched on for ages until it was cut off by the steep mountain that surrounded them. The smell of rabbit was so strong, and so was the smell of cat. Raven nudged him. "Come on, the stream is this way." The black loner hopped, leading the way down the side of the wildcat territory. Black was thankful they weren't that far in. What would they do if they were caught by the wildcats? They would surely eat them. "Black!" Raven hissed at him. "Muttonhead, what are you doing? Come on!" Sorry. Black shook his pelt from the drizzle and continued to follow the trail, their fur brushing as monsters sped past. He twitched his ears, hearing the sound of running water. "There!" Raven quickened her pace, leaping over a fallen tree trunk. The stream sat on the other side. Black hopped in beside her. The stream flowed softly, leading under the thunderpath into a den that ran underneath. The loners sat close by, soaking their moss with water. "Okay, we got the water. Now let's get back before we're caught." As the two picked up their moss and turned around, a loud caterwaul made them freeze. Black blinked, gazing inland into wildcat territory. What was that? The black-striped Tom felt his paws shake. Someone was in trouble. The cries continued. The loners stood in terror. "We have to get home," meowed Raven. "Mother will be waiting for us." The loner she-cat nudged her brother and bent down to pick up her moss. Black followed, but stopped in his tracks, the calls growing. He turned back to the territory. "I'm not leaving," he hissed. Raven's jaw dropped. "What? You can't, Black! That's wildcat territory!" Black spun around to face his sister, his teeth bared. "Someone needs our help, Raven. I'm not just ignoring it." "Black!" Black turned tail and began heading to the cries. "Hold on. I'm coming." Black raced on the moor. The blades of grass felt amazing on his paws. And the wind! He felt so free. His heart raced with every paw step. "Black!" He spun his head around. Raven paced beside him. "Don't try and stop me!" Raven hissed. "Snakeheart, I'm not trying to stop you!" Black blinked in surprise. "What?" His sister gave a determined smile. "I'm coming with you!" Black gazed in astonishment, then nodded to her. He led the way, pulling ahead. The rain grew heavy with each step. The cries of the cat in trouble grew louder. Black narrowed his gaze against the rain. Two shapes emerged from the hills. The two loners stopped, gazing down at the two cats in front of them. "Wolf Sting, hang on!" The smaller cat cried to the cat, digging near what looked like a fox trap. Its jaws clamped around the older cat's neck. "Hold on!" Black called to them. The two cats gazed in shock. Who are you?" Black ignored the small grey Tom and went straight to the trap. The older wildcat gagged. Blood squirted from his neck. Raven nosed her brother. "I'll get some water," she meowed, turning back to where they had come from. Black nodded towards her, then looked to the Tom. "Hey kid, what's your name?" The small grey tomcat stood shaking. "Greypaw?" "Greypaw, is there anyone who can help?" Greypaw stood to shake, staring at his friend. The Tom stuck in the trap gagged. "Sheeper." Black's ears twitched. "Sheep who?" Greypaw nuzzled his friend. "No, father! I can't leave you alone with a loner!" "Greypaw!" The Tom gasped. Blood oozed from his neck. "Go!" Greypaw's ears fell back and he nodded, then turned away. Black watched him go, then turned to the trap, sniffing around for the release. The wildcat looked at him. "Who are you anyway?" Black rested his tail on the cat's shoulders. "Quiet, try not to speak." The dark grey Tom turned back to the trap, sniffing the rust. Raven re-emerged over the hill. Wet moss clung in her jaws. "Here!" she meowed, giving it to the trapped cat. The injured Tom staggered, licking the water from the moss, and the loners attempted to remove the trap. Its giant's teeth shut hard in the cat's neck. "I can't get it off." A sudden rustle made the two loners jump, and Greypaw returned with the white she-cat on his heels. "Wolf Sting!" she wailed as she saw the Tom. "Oh, Starkland, what happened?" The loner stepped back as the wildcat rushed to the Tom's side. She stared at the trap in horror. Black flinched. A few more cats emerged into the clearing. "What's going on?" A pale grey she-cat asked. Her bright yellow and blue eyes grew. Her gaze locked into Wolf Sting. "Wolf Sting!" she wailed. The beige-white spotted Tom beside her stuck his fur up in terror. "He's trapped!" "Don't just stand there gawking," spat the white she-cat. She nodded to Black. "We need to get this thing off." The beige cat was hesitant, turning to stare at the loners. Black sat by his sister. All of this happened because they were fetching water for their mother. Stockwing! The beige Tom meowed. He had moved to the side where the trap had gripped Wolfsting's throat. Give me a paw. Stockwing was close by Wolfsting, nuzzling him. She was hesitant to leave him. Stockwing, I need help! The grey wildcat gritted her teeth. Okay. She rose to her paws and hobbled to the Tom's side. Both cats attempted to push the trap open. Their fur spiked with each attempt. It's stuck! Black nosed his way through it. It's the rust, he meowed. We need some way to loosen it. Raven jumped to her paws. The black water that the two legs at the farm use. That could work? Black what? Greypaw looked confused. I saw the two legs use it to free a chicken once. It got stuck in a monster in the farm. They poured it onto its leg and it got free. It could work, meowed the beige wildcat, looking to the white she-cat. Sheepbur, what do you think? Sheepbur stared up at him. We have to try something. Anything will work right now. Then I'll go with Loner. He stood to face Black. The grey-black striped Tom felt uneasy as the wildcat stared into his eyes. But know this, if you're lying to us... Stockwing snapped at him. Don't be a jerk, Hairspring. They want to help us. Black nodded in agreement. Yes. If we didn't, we wouldn't have come when we heard Wolfsting's yowls. Hairspring drew his lips back into a snarl and looked to Raven. Fine then, but she stays here so you don't get cold paws. The skinny she-cat rose to stand with Greypaw. That's fine by me, she meowed. Black will take you to the black stuff. Hairspring snorted, then began to head away. In that case, we should get moving. Black led the way down the side of the thunder path. Not a lot of monsters were patrolling on it today. They were probably too cold. He stared up. Although he could not see any dark clouds at the moment, his coat still stung at the frigid cold and rain. He flinched, feeling Hairspring's hot breath on his tail. He couldn't believe he was escorting a wildcat. What would his mother say? How much longer? The Tom spoke, annoyance in his throat. Black simply flicked his tail. The Tom stopped near the wooden boundary of the two-leg farm. He stared out to make sure no one would see them. Okay, follow me, Hairspring, and keep close. Black dashed from their position, racing across the open ground as they headed towards the barn where the old monster slept. A couple of chickens squawked as the rats raced past. Not eating chicken today, he reassured them. The two Toms stopped by the cow pen. The two large creatures who were the most closest stared at them, letting out their calls. Hairspring arched his back. What are these things? He hissed. Black stared up at them. Cows. Don't worry, they're just saying hello. Well, I don't speak cow, snapped the Tom. Black chuckled. For a wildcat, Hairspring was slightly amusing. It wasn't what he imagined a wildcat would be like. His mother had said they were vile, bloodthirsty cats who attacked anyone who stepped into their territory or ate their prey. A large sum of kitty pets even claimed that they ate bones for breakfast. A low squeak came from the two-leg nest, making the Tom freeze. Get down! He hissed. The two cats flattened themselves as the two-leg kits ran from the den, racing around to chase the chickens. They're distracted, meowed the wildcat. Come on, let's go get the black stuff. Black nodded, creeping his way around the playing kits. He dashed for the barn, hiding behind a haystack. Almost there, he breathed. He stared up. The container sat nearby on a ledge. There. He pointed it out to the Tom. Hairspring gasped. How are we supposed to get it? The farm cat pointed to a thick growth of moss. That. We'll take a few mouthfuls and soak it up. Just don't get any in your mouth. It's horrible tasting. The beige Tom snorted. Like I need to be told what it tastes like. Come on, Wolfsting is waiting. Black sighed. Were wildcats always this impatient? He led the way towards the ledge, leaping up onto the side. The wildcat followed behind. The two cats took turns to dip the moss into the dark, thick water. Yuck! Hairspring hissed in disgust. This stuff is horrible! Black couldn't help but chuckle, watching the wild Tom shake the liquid from his paw. It's a good look for you, he joked. The Tom groaned, rolling his eyes. Let's just go. A sudden, excited squeak made Black freeze. He stared down, the two-leg kits pointing at them. Fox tongue! We've been spotted! Hairspring's pelt prickled. Dang two legs! Come on! Black nudged the Tom. Let's get out of here! The two cats leaped down from the ledge. Almost immediately, the kits came running after them. Move! Black hissed to Hairspring. The short Tom dashed towards the cow pen. Black followed. The dark moss dangled from his jaws. The excited squeaks of the two-leg kittens made his fur grow hot. Black dashed to catch up with the wild Tom. then led the way towards the small hut. "We have to take shelter," he hissed. "Follow me!" Hairspring obeyed, following the Tom into the hut. The kids' excited squeaks turned into wails of disappointment. They began making sounds as if calling into them. "We will have to find another way out. They won't let us leave, and even if we did get out, they would follow us to your territory." The Wild Tom shook his pelt. "Understandable. Do you know any other way?" "No, but my mother would." The Tom pointed to the hole, way at the back, and led the way inside. Incense sat where Black and Raven had left her, sunbathing on a hay bale. Hairspring growled, "Great, more loners." Incense turned to the voice. A mew of surprise escaped her throat. "Black? Where is Raven? And who is this?" Black trotted up to greet his mother. "No time to explain. We need a new way off the farm without the two legs following us." The old she-cat turned to look at Hairspring. The wildcat dared not look at her. "Trouble?" she asked. "Nothing we can't handle," Tom replied. The she-cat huffed, then signaled them to follow her. Black blinked as she led to the second part of the den. A gap in the side. "Here, you can get out this way. There is a pile behind the den that you can use to get down." "Thanks, Mother. Raven and I should be back soon." Incense purred, nuzzling her son. "Be safe," she whispered. And with last goodbyes, Black and Hairspring made their way back to the others. The two-legged kids didn't follow them, thank goodness. They were still calling into the small two-legged den. They didn't even notice that the cats were gone. "Let's hurry." There was tension in the Wild Tom's mew. "I want to get Wolfsting out of that trap before he loses too much blood." Black gave a nod. "You lead. It's your territory." The two cats picked up their pace, heading deeper into wildcat territory. As they drew closer, a new voice made the cats stop for a moment. "Will they be back soon?" A gentle female mew spoke. He didn't recognize it from before. "Is that Ice Star?" Hairspring seemed surprised. "I thought she would be in camp." Black blinked, staring at him. "Ice Star?" He echoed the name. As the cats arrived at the scene, Raven was the first to greet her brother. "Black! You're back!" Black purred as his littermate nuzzled him. Hairspring nudged him, and the cats put down the moss by Sheepbur. "Here, press it onto the rust where it trapped him. It should loosen." Sheepbur nodded. "Thank you." She took the moss and began to press the black liquid against the side of the trap. Wolfsting seemed unresponsive. Greypaw lay beside him. "Where's Stockwing?" asked the Wild Tom. "She went back to camp," the unfamiliar voice spoke. Black turned to it. His heart almost leaped out of his chest as he spotted the she-cat that spoke. "So," Ice Star stared at the loners, "who do I thank for saving my deputy?"